Welcome to the Big Biz Show, featuring insight, analysis, and a lot of stuff that's none of your business.
Hold on. This is the Big Biz Show. I think it is their business.
Making the markets work for you. Here's the man with the plan, Sully.
Yeah, we're changing that. We are completely changing that.
Please.
Well,
Please.
The reason is that all the other intros we have had to be in rusty nails.
Okay.
This is the only one. I think it's one of the times I fired Russ or something. No, I'm not kidding. Great to have you along today. How was everyone's weekend as we start yet a new week and another Padre loss?
You know, in the Costa household, we're not going out for. We're trying to cut down fast food as a whole, but we're not spending so much money going through drive-thrus and things like that. So I finally broke down and bought the Blackstone grill.
Oh,
kind of like
no
the
kidding.
big flat top.
Yeah. So instead of going out and spending a few $100s a month on fast food, he bought the $700.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It'll eventually pay for itself by switching the way of economics.
Is that what you told your wife?
Yeah. But I want to master an In-N-Out hamburger patty on this thing, so I can make my own In-N-Out burger instead of driving through to get them. I want to start.
What? Now, why didn't
making
you?
my own.
Here's my question.
Because of the cost.
No, here's my question. Why couldn't you make your own In-N-Out burger before?
Because you try it in a
Frying pan?
frying pan, and it's it doesn't.
Because you want to fry it outside versus fry it inside.
Yes, yeah. Also save grease and all that crap on the.
Well, I mean, isn't that what it's? Do you make what do you cook at home or you mostly eat out?
I do both. I do a lot of eating out.
So what are the girls?
But I do make some hamburgers.
What do the girls like for? I mean, would you go out and buy, for example, what's it called again, Mike?
The Blackstone grill.
Blackstone
No, I would not.
Yeah. Look at that.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
No.
Now,
I have a barbecue that's been on my patio for
You haven't
years.
opened it up?
No, it's
Come on.
covered in dust. Swear to God.
you would love it.
Yeah.
By the way, do you know? Can you pull that thing up again? Do you know what that reminds me of? And
What?
Greg's gonna love this.
Let's hear it.
What's our Mexican place we go to?
Oh, Mexico Viejo.
This guy's like a Benihana with the.
Yes.
I'm not he's like. With the spatula.
The long spatula.
The spatulas.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh,
I get so much satisfaction watching him, and he
Yep.
goes to the edge of it, so he gets all of it, right?
Yep.
And there's
Dumps it in
nothing small in the crease,
Nope.
No.
right?
No.
So
And those things are normally
by the way,
immaculate.
me and Greg will have these in our house before the next weekend.
Oh, for sure.
But you can do carne asada, you can do burgers, you can do an omelet if you want, hash browns.
All of
Come
the
out
things,
perfectly.
you know what's really great is all the things you can do on an indoor stove for $799. Did you get the one that?
My wife's watching.
Can I ask
We are
you?
calling you Larry.
Can I ask you about the? Have you seen the egg, the smoker?
Sure.
The green egg.
What is that? What is the smoking? What are you smoking? Hey, what are you smoking?
Hey, what are you
When
smoking?
you buy one of those things, what are you smoking?
I have a friend who does their Thanksgiving turkey in it every single year.
Smokes a turkey.
What?
Yeah.
Is it all nice smoky smell and salty?
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, you got to put in the smoked chips and the whole deal.
Do you know what I hate worse than anything?
Smoke,
Somebody give me,
smoke stuff.
Smoke.
Yeah.
Somebody give me some smoked cheese.
Oh,
Smoked
yeah,
Gouda.
smoked
No.
Gouda.
Hot.
Good.
Smoked Gouda is so good.
Oh my.
So Gouda? Hey.
It's, do you know what it is?
Trace, thank you.
It's the bacon bits of bacon. You see what I'm saying?
Bacon bits.
Bacon
So
bits were
good.
basically small pieces of styrofoam they took a brown Sharpie,
100%.
each one of them, right?
Bacon
Yeah, yeah.
flavoring or whatever.
Yeah,
I
that's.
used to eat them though
Oh, who didn't?
on my
I
salad.
would go into the pantry, unscrew the bacon bits thing, and just go.
That was after he had those French fried potatoes in the little canister that you put on the green bean casserole, or those onion strings. Can I tell you what I bought the other day? It's on the pathway back to
A griddle.
No, that's this week though.
That's this week.
After the show.
Yeah.
I purchased on my fitness way back boxing and stuff like that, and my body luckily reacts very quickly to all this stuff. It just like within a week or two, like bam, feel better, look better. I found in one of the guest rooms in the house, somehow someone put some snacks in there, kind of as a.
Oh, like a
Welcome to our place.
What's the one single bag of snack that would make? It's going to make you cry. You will. I know me and Costa are the same bloodline.
Cheez-Its?
Funyuns.
I was gonna say Funyuns.
Look,
Just go on with the show without me.
I know. He's trying now.
Oh,
I
are you
bought-
kidding me? Funyuns
There-
with the little bacon bits on
No,
top?
no.
100 Studios. Must mean it's the Big Biz Show. Wherever you're watching, wherever you're listening, thanks for being along for the ride in over 175 countries. All the ships at sea on the American Forces Network. Thank you, all the men and brave women of the United States Armed Forces, for what you do. Costa, Marybird Godwin, Greg Todorov, Sully.
I don't know how we got on that. I don't know how we got on the Ozempic. Oh, I think we did because we were talking about.
Mama Cass.
No, Downton Abbey.
Oh, Downton Abbey.
Oh yeah, the guy lost weight.
A big hello to the Day Trader Trio. They sound so good every single day.
Yes, they do.
Nice to see you guys. Okay, so what were you chirping about? On
Well,
the break?
so at the end of that segment, you said something about Gary, Indiana, which immediately makes my mind
Music
go
Man.
to music.
Gary, Indiana.
So, which made me think of this
Robert
thing
Preston.
that has come up that is my ideal night of fun, and you're all gonna laugh at me, but you might like this. It is called
Please sing along.
It's called a Broadway rave, and theater geeks around the world go to
Excuse me.
a club, and they play.
Gotta dance.
Yeah, no, they play Hamilton and Rent and all Wicked and all of that. No, I'm gonna go. I'm buying my
Wait.
tickets today.
So what's the
August
difference
8th.
between watching at home with all your friends?
You go into a big club and imagine, you're like in a club, you're singing whatever your favorite song is with the band. You're singing live music,
Let me tell you why this has happened. I know why this happened. I'm 100%.
to make my dreams come true.
No, I'm 100% why this happened. So there is a new resurgence. And by the way, I will tell you that my guilty pleasure now is listening to the ABBA channel on Pandora.
Oh,
So good.
I'm not kidding. It is, because it's not just ABBA, but it's the greatest Pandora channel. So, but the bottom line is, so the musical comedy, or they call it musical theater now,
Yes.
ABBA,
yes.
is out and about internationally.
Yes.
Okay? And they have a seating pattern whereby there is seating, but ahead of the seating is the pit. You can buy tickets to the pit. And what do you think happens in the pit?
Mosh pit.
Singing,
Singing.
dancing. It's a cocktail party
with
with theater people. So as the people are performing, the ABBA people. So it's like, okay, I get. So when we
A lot
were,
of jazz hands.
oh my goodness, and
Oh,
and,
but
and
just
sequence,
like passionate,
and sequence.
emoting.
Oh,
So when
Hitch kicks.
I went to what you call them?
Hitch kicks.
Oh, hitch kicks.
Hitch kicks.
I'm gonna say.
Travis Kelce just
Like
did
a Michael Vick thing or something. I'm not really. So, referring to the dog fighting.
Wow.
So when I was in Europe, it was ABBA. I'm sorry. What was the movie? It's called
Mamma Mia.
Mamma Mia.
Yeah.
Was in two different places in London, big city.
Yep.
wow.
Two big theaters.
Yep.
I think the Savoy was one of them. And out front was nothing but middle-aged women, okay, with sequins. And they were like four at a time. And I think there were, I didn't see many men.
Yeah.
I don't see any men that were drugging there. There was some men that went because they wanted to go.
I would go sober because I am sober. I would stay all night and sing every last
So
word.
I think that's sort of where this
Hamilton.
came from.
And also like the fact that Hamilton reached such a wide audience,
Mm-hmm.
people like to sing along to their favorite musical. You don't get to do it when you're watching the show. This is
So
pure
have you
joy.
seen the latest thing on Netflix or Apple TV?
Which is?
If you rent Pitch Perfect, there's now also you can rent Pitch Perfect Sing.
Oh.
Where as the movie's going on, the karaoke words going across the screen.
That's so.
So I think this is a. Is that a guilty
all
pleasure?
three Pitch Perfect.
Oh my God! I will tell you, I do think there's something really cool about a cappella, because that's something
That
I
is
would have been
such a-
involved in high school.
It is
college.
such
would
a
have
talent.
loved that.
But it's just because
Acapella.
musically, the acapellas,
Yeah.
me and Mike and the tone benders, it is simply something. I mean, the guys up on stage.
Would any of you guys go with me to a theater rave?
Maybe,
Broadway rave.
I'm going to say
No?
the one person that would be Mark
Jason would.
Hattersley. Mark, you would, James?
JB.
Well, so I think this is a new business model.
Sure.
Because you're going to have, they're going to have the Broadway theater folks that want the pure experience.
Yes.
But now you have available on Blu-ray, right? Here's a whole nother way to do
Did you say Blu-ray?
Well, yeah, I'm just saying another way to consume the musical.
Yep.
Is I don't want to just sit there in my seat.
I want to sing
I
with
want to sit there
other.
and sing with them.
I want to sing with other.
I wonder if it takes a different type of performer. Because you don't start performing. I mean, you start playing guitar as a kid, what, Brian? To get the girls back in 7th, 8th grade, right? Me too. But then after a while, you perform because you like to perform. Okay, you like the business of making music and performing. I'm not sure I'm performing, although maybe it's just like a big rock star guy who has the crowd singing with him.
Sure.
Right? But this seems like not only a trend, but like a money-making trend.
Big time.
For sure.
So I'm
going to go August
so what are you
7th. Maybe Devin should come and follow me with
Oh my
the
God, he
camera.
should.
Oh my
Why
lord.
don't you get a group down there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to find as many theater geeks.
I don't think you need theater. I think you need a few people here in the studio.
Yeah.
So you can get David Comatoy, one of our executive producers.
you want to do it here in
JB, who's our floor director here.
No, to go.
Hey, those guys will go in a New York minute. Costa's going to be there.
I feel like you would sing every song.
I wouldn't,
Because
though.
you know.
I'm not a crowd person, you know me. I'm not down in the crowd thing. I'd be in the back.
All right,
I don't do that. I don't like that kind of attention. I like it as long as I'm in front of. I either want all of it or none of it.
None of it.
Oh, true.
You know, it's
well,
true.
I'd be
When I
singing.
walk out on the street and stuff, it's I don't like that. I don't know why I don't like it. This is weird for me. But if I'm on stage, yeah, sure. Hey, let me. What? Now, what's the first show you're going to?
Yeah, what do you mean? This is called.
Is it a combination
it's
of
a
all
combination.
music?
They just
Oh,
it's like
okay.
a club where they play different music, but they play different things.
I like it better. Like you're going to go to the show, like ABBA.
No,
You do the
it's
whole
gonna-
damn show, so you can sing
Yeah.
along to everything.
No, but you're going to hear Hamilton. You're
No,
going
but
to
let me tell you why
Rent.
that would be better. I think because you have a whole crew of people.
Right.
And then Mary stands up for "Gotta Dance," and then Mike stands up for a different song.
Everything's coming up.
Yeah, right, exactly, right.
Yeah.
That's you. And then
That's
there's
gonna be
another,
me.
but there's always the ingenue song, and then there's the whole crowd
course.
song, and so then you
they
have
probably
different
do
people
groups.
popping up in your group that will stand up and sing
That's
with
good.
the person, like I'm Alexander Hamilton.
Right.
Okay, not everybody's gonna stand up and sing that song.
Have you seen it, by the way?
About 6 times.
Okay, good.
Very good.
You?
Yep.
I like one of my favorite stories about Hamilton is when and forgive me, what is the name of the composer again? He's very
Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Yeah. He somehow had this idea. I'm gonna do a rap version of Hamilton
Jeez.
using
read the
all
book.
people of color.
Yeah.
And he told Michelle Obama, and she's like, "Yeah, good luck with that." That was it. But he performed.
She poo-pooed it?
No, she didn't poo-poo it. He was performing at the honors,
Some
Kennedy
ceremony
Center.
at the.
Kennedy Center, and he got a chance to meet them. And he thought, "I'm going to try the song. Nobody's heard it. This is what I'm doing." And off stage, he said that, and she's like, "Good luck with that." Well, look what it turned out to be.
Oh my God.
Have you guys seen Hamilton? It's
Yes.
fantastic, right? I mean, and the thing is, it would be called back in days of opera recitative, where there is no dialogue. It's all,
All singing.
It's all singing
Yeah.
the whole time, which is very good.
It's genius.
Jesus Christ Superstar was the same thing.
I've never
That's one
saw
of the-
that. I listened to the album.
Andrew Lloyd
before.
Wright, you didn't
Remember I met
You
Ted
watched the
Neely?
original one.
I
Yeah,
met Ted
when he was
Neely, the guy who
95.
played Jesus. Yeah. He sang to me. Okay, this is.
Welcome to the Big Biz Show, also known as
I was
Theater
gonna say.
Moment.
Can we have a
Yeah,
theater moment every episode? Because
No.
I am full of joy right now. I am so happy.
So this is going to be a rave club with all things. Well, they play like Oklahoma and
Maybe.
in my fair.
There's a bright
Maybe.
golden haze on the meadow.
What was the name of the character? Curly.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Right?
great.
Rod Serling?
No, the name of the
No,
character
Steiger.
was Curly.
Oh, Curly, right.
You remember,
I actually
remember,
never
remember who
seen
played
that
the part?
Gordon McRae.
Howard Keel was the first person to play the part.
Oh, okay. I was
Gordon McRae.
going by the movie.
Howard Keel and Gordon McRae were the two that shared all of
Gotcha.
the male leads.
A very young,
Yeah.
voluptuous Shirley Jones, mother of
and
the
all the
Partridge Family.
all the men's pants were up to here.
Yes, of
I
course.
wonder what that was all about.
She was also in Music Man, Shirley Jones.
She
played-
was?
She
She
was.
played
Yeah, she
Madam
was-
Librarian.
Yes.
Oh, you got a little Ron
Marion.
Howard with the lisp.
Yeah.
Librarian, the librarian, and Robert Preston as the music.
Yes.
That's right.
Professor Harold Hill. Harold
Capital
Hill.
T that rhymes with P and that stands for pool.
And all streets along River Street, you'd be chittering around my your street, you'd be chittering.
Put her around there room time, sometime, short time too.
Put the ball in the pocket. Everybody get the dogs. Yeah, it's
Wow.
it's the thing.
Thank you for indulging me. This was just.
So is there
How
How
only,
about that,
my
Greg?
day.
I could have taken a nap.
I think you fell asleep there for a minute.
Greg's over there with toothpicks in his eye.
when is the last time you went to any sort of indulge? Does anybody in your family would indulge? Would you be indulging anybody by going to anything like that?
Nothing. No.
Nobody
no
wants
one.
to go. Nobody wants to go there.
No. I mean, I
Alice
think my
is not-
mom. My mom was
Alice isn't
a
into
singer and all that.
I
stuff,
wouldn't do
but
that.
She
unless-
probably loves.
Like
the
I wouldn't
theater.
go. It wouldn't be. Hey, I know. Let's do this. But I could get. I would be interested to seeing what.
Sure.
I'd like to sit in the back and watch you all.
Oh my God.
Like,
You would never look at me the same
is
again.
it in San
because
Diego?
I just.
Is it in San Diego?
Yes, it's downtown.
It's here in town.
San Diego. Yes, in August.
Maybe we could get some media passes and do a thing on it.
Oh my God.
Backstage.
Go talk to the
Get you get
people
talk
and
to the
stuff.
Okay, we're on it. I'm on
I
it.
think that's your thing.
Where are we on opera? Straight opera.
I've never been.
Johnny Skiki, Verdi.
Oh God, it is.
You can't do it?
Yeah.
La Boheme.
Right.
La vie bohème.
Madame Butterfly, all that.
Can't do it.
Yeah.
What about ballet? I take an opera versus
I
ballet.
love ballet.
Oh, I would say, yeah, any
take
day
it
of the
over
week.
ballet.
Yeah.
Hence musical comedy. It's how they got the men into theaters. All right, big show. We got a public company with the stock symbol EVAX coming up. Stand by. They're in the business of life science. Talk about it 1 second. Big Biz Show, bigbizshow.com. Don't go here.
It is the Big Biz Show for the Loft 100 Studios, Southern California. Wherever you are watching, wherever you are listening, thank you for being along for the ride. I'm Mike Costa. That handsome guy right there across the bar is our executive producer, Greg Todorov. And of course, the guy right there, that's Sully.
Oh, my
That
God.
is Sully.
You and Biden.
120 million TV homes strong in 175 countries. Thank you to BizTV, American Life Network, Bloomberg Financiero, soon to be Bloomberg EU, and of course, American Forces Network in 175 countries and all the ships at sea. God bless our military men and women serving our country overseas and underway.
Always.
Look at the day trader trio over there. Trace has been jogging. Or got very sick. And he's selling products from Acapulco.
He finally plugged in that treadmill you bought him.
You know, we're recreational legal. We just don't have an infrastructure yet, so understand. All right, great to see you today. Of course, the familiar face, Dr. Jonathan Javitt, who is the founder, director, and chairman of the board of this little company called NRX Pharmaceuticals. Great to see you. How are you, sir?
Wonderful to see
You're
you,
starting
Sully.
to be sort of a member of the cast. You've been here so long.
Big time.
And now there's a Bizumentary coming out. Of course, we have a trademarked documentary called a Bizumentary, which is basically about Jonathan's space that the network wanted to do and give the opportunity to get some exposure for you guys. And we're going to be able to see that on BizTV as well as the other networks here coming on very shortly. And you'll see it pretty in high rotation here for the next 9 months. But it's great to see you. And there's lots of stuff to talk about. And then we're going to spend a few segments talking to you. And of course, you have a couple of guests we brought on. Of course, Mike Taylor, our investment banking expert, is going to be with us as well. And of course, coming up later in the program, Dr. David Feifel. And I'll let you explain who he is. But let's talk about ketamine. We've been talking about that ever since we met you. Ketamine being sort of aimed for the standard of care for suicidal ideation and a number of other things. My question for you is, if ketamine is going to be the standard of care, then why the heck hasn't the FDA approved it yet? Or why has anybody brought it up before?
Well, you know, it's a great question. And in fact, on next Thursday, the Reagan-Udall Foundation in Washington is hosting an all-day conference on exactly that question with the FDA, with the public stakeholders. But the short answer to the question...
Nobody asked nicely.
Nobody asked at all. Now, that's
a problem.
That's not exactly true. Johnson & Johnson did ask and did get approval for a nasal form of ketamine, and that's used in some patients, but most doctors want to be using the intravenous ketamine, and nobody's asked.
Real quickly, because you talked about this at the very beginning when we talked to you. Talk to us about the difference between the nasal, the oral, and the intravenous, as far as efficacy and safety and so on and so forth.
So as far as oral ketamine goes, nobody knows. It's the Wild West, and the Drug Enforcement Administration has shut down the guy who was mailing homemade oral ketamine around the country and telling patients to use it.
Probably a good idea that he said.
Probably a good idea. Probably drugs that are used in the United States should be proven to be safe and effective for their intended use and not to be abusable. So nasal ketamine and intravenous ketamine achieve similar things. They get ketamine into the bloodstream. Now, if you do it with a needle in an IV bag, you know exactly how much ketamine is going into the bloodstream, and you can achieve a steady state dose. If you administer ketamine through the nose, then you're giving a blast of ketamine, you're getting a sharp spike, and then you're getting a downdraft, so you have to keep giving nasal sprays up to 6 times an hour to maintain that steady dose. And the anatomy of the nose has a tremendous amount. Some people have these turbinates that stick into the middle of their airway that diverts the ketamine down the back of your throat into your stomach. So the pharmacology of nasal ketamine is much less regularized than the pharmacology of intravenous ketamine.
You talk about multiple doses in nasal ketamine. It brings up the question about how many doses at all. So when we talk about intravenous ketamine and as a treatment, is this something that would happen once a week? Is that once a month? Is it as needed?
Well, it's a great question. We know that the pharmacologic effect of ketamine wears off between 3 and 5 days. Now, does that mean that somebody's going to immediately have a recurrence of depression or recurrence of suicidality? That's a very individual thing.
And is there an endpoint, by the way, to treatment at that point, right?
And that, too, is a very individual thing. Bipolar depression, which is the form of depression that's most likely to be associated with suicide. Think Matthew Perry, Robin Williams, Kate Spade, Anthony Bourdain. That's an episodic disease where most people thought of Robin Williams as sort of a manic guy. They used to call it manic depression.
Right.
These are people who are the brightest light in the room. But when they get depressed, it's lethal. In fact, if you know 2 people with bipolar depression, you have one of those 2 people is probably going to try to kill themselves over the course of their lifetime. If you know 5 people with bipolar depression, one of them is going to succeed. Whereas what they call major depressive disorder or unipolar depression, you have people whose life goes between okay and pretty sad, and those people are actually much less likely to harm themselves.
No kidding. The name of the company, by the way, NRX Pharmaceuticals, they're publicly traded. NRXP is a stock symbol, NRXP. We've got Dr. Jonathan Javid here. So talk about the intersection of NRXP and this question, if ketamine is headed to be the standard of care.
Well, so as far,
have you talked about the FDA and where you?
As far as we know, we're the first people who are heading to the FDA with an intravenous form of ketamine that should be approvable. And in order to do that, we had to put together efficacy data proving that not only is there a difference between ketamine and placebo, which is what you have to do with most drugs, but as you just saw with the massive failure of ecstasy to get approved, MDMA to get approved, the FDA said, no, if you're going to try to get approval for a drug that can have a psychedelic effect, then you can't just test it against placebo because people who don't get a psychedelic effect will know they didn't get the drug. You need to test it against a drug that gives people sort of a sham effect. So that they're not sure which drug they got. So one of the studies that we're presenting to FDA is one where ketamine's been compared to a drug called midazolam, which is commonly used in minor surgeries and cataract surgery. It makes you feel funny, it can make you feel drowsy, but it's not an NMDA antagonist drug. It doesn't have the same pharmacologic effect as ketamine. And in that study also, ketamine had a potent anti-suicidal, antidepressant effect, whereas midazolam didn't. And when they took the midazolam patients and said, now let's give you ketamine, they had the same ketamine effect as the people who got put on ketamine in the first place. And then the third study we're going to show FDA is one where ketamine was randomized against electroshock therapy. And technically it was non-inferior to electroshock therapy, but if you actually look at the numbers, it was better than electroshock therapy in treating depression.
And we've talked about that in past shows, and I think the Bizumentary is going to touch on that as well. So you've basically made ketamine a life-saving drug. The path forward needs to be, where can we get it? Clinics, correct? That's got to be path forward?
Well, the path forward is how do we put it in a bottle? Because not only do you have to be able to show the FDA that the drug works, you have to show that you know how to make it, you know how to make it the same way every time. Because the generic formulation of ketamine hasn't been reformulated since the Korean War. And one of the things that's in it that people don't recognize is a pretty toxic preservative. It's called benzanthonium chloride, which you can find on Wikipedia. Wikipedia will tell you this is a poison.
If Mike could spell it, we'd find it.
Yeah, yeah. Wikipedia will tell you this is a poison. You don't want it in your bottle.
Stay right there. We're going to keep you over. Plus, we got a couple extra guests coming up here to talk about the path forward in terms of clinics and everything else. Dr. Jonathan Javid, Chairman of the Board, NRX Pharmaceuticals, stock symbol NRXP. You can go to nrxpharma.com. More Big Biz Show continues. Stand by.
It is the Big Biz Show. We are in sunny Southern California, live from the Loft 100 studios. In over 175 countries, all the ships at sea on the American Forces Network. For brave men and women of the United States Armed Forces, we thank you for what you do, what you've done for us. Mike Costa, Greg Todorov, our executive producer. Sully behind the bar, and the bar is stacked.
I'll tell you what, we have a confab.
Look at this.
Thank God the FCC doesn't let you actually drink on television. Don't forget,
Allegedly.
125 million TV homes strong with BizTV, American Life Network, as well as Bloomberg Financiero and Bloomberg EU to come. Big Biz Show, bigbizshow.com. Thanks for having us today. So, Dr. Jonathan Javitt is the founder, director, and chairman of the board of NRx Pharmaceuticals. We got a couple of folks. One familiar, of course, is Mike Taylor. Mike Taylor, our investment banking expert on the program, has been on for a number of years, on and off, and has been on lately because he is a big proponent of NRx Pharma, and of course, the soon-to-be spin-off of Hope Therapeutics. But let's talk about this unfamiliar face, soon to be very familiar, because you're in a 1-hour bizumentary here on BizTV.
Right.
That's going to be airing, I think, for about 9 months in heavy rotation, meaning a couple times a week. His name is Dr. Feifel, David Feifel. He is professor emeritus of psychology at UCSD. Let me tell you about UCSD.
Uh-oh, here we go.
Let me bring you back to a gentler time. The year was 1978. At the time, I was a 3-sport athlete with scholarships and a 4.0 grade point average. And the best school to go to was UCSD. I was weeded out the first semester. I swear to God.
Mr. Sullivan, you actually have to open the books.
No, it wasn't about that. It was about, back in the day.
It was about the dean's daughter, we heard.
No, that was the 7 other schools I went to. You remember, I don't know if anybody else at this table can remember this. You may remember film strips.
Of course.
Remember film strips in the studio?
Of course.
Or in the classroom? I was going to, as a pre-med at the 4th college, which is now called Warren's College. Okay? Yeah. We're the first class at Warren College. First of all, I went to a trigonometry class. Well, what the hell is this? And number 2, they pull out the film strip in open heart surgery. I was out.
Okay.
I took a vocal music scholarship at USD the very next semester. Yeah. I think we're all happy that I'm not saving lives here today. Great to have you along today. I know that we've been arguing about who gets the first question, and going into this, if you're just joining us, we're talking about how NRx has basically created a ketamine life-saving drug, and the next step in this is got to be clinics, FDA, the whole 9 yards, which we're all here to talk about. But Mike, won the coin toss about the first question.
Well, Dr. Feifel, you opened up the first ketamine clinic in the United States. What is the secret sauce to that? I mean, how does that happen?
It happens out of desperation. Desperation for wanting better tools to treat your patients.
Sure.
I went into psychiatry because I felt that it was ripe for a golden era. At the time, when I was in medical school, neuroscience was just exploding, and we were getting all these new tools, be able to image the brain, and I thought, wow, this is going to be a golden era. This is the field to go. The brain is the ultimate organ. And then, so I really prepared for a kind of to be a career to really be on the forefront of that. I did a PhD in neuroscience, did my MD degree, went to UCSD, which is one of the top research places, and decade into my career, I was like, what's going on? I don't think it's going to happen. Yeah. And I was still writing the same medication prescriptions that, my mentors in medical school were writing when they were just residents and things like that. So I thought, nothing's translating into new treatments. And I was thinking, I might just miss this revolution. It might be the residents I'm teaching who get it. And then some things really started to break in a good way. And one of those things was a couple of small studies that came out of, one out of Yale, and then another one out of NIMH, replicating it, that ketamine, which is a drug that everyone learns about in medical school as an dissociative anesthetic. Like, nobody associates it as a psychiatric drug, but some some curious researchers at Yale who were seeing some interesting things with ketamine did a pilot study, and they showed that at lower doses, at subanesthetic doses, a 40-minute infusion was like a blockbuster. I mean, these people who had treatment-resistant depression didn't respond to anything. And most people in the field, including myself when I first read that, just like wrote it off because it's just too good to be true. Because not only was it effective, it was effective, within a span of hours, which is in psychiatry. We don't brag about how fast our treatment. We're just happy when they work.
Yeah.
So I said this is not possible, and we see a lot of studies come out. It was a small number of people, I think, it never gets replicated. So I blew it off. 6 years later, it was replicated, and I said, I'm still skeptical, but I'm so desperate. What if it's half as good as these studies? So I went to UCSD, the powers that be, and said, I want to give my patients with depression ketamine.
When you talk about desperation, are you desperate because you're losing patients to suicide, or
You're seeing veteran numbers. You're seeing the same numbers we're seeing, or is it something different?
Look, you do lose people, but even when you don't lose people, you lose people.
Sure.
Because when somebody lives with depression, they may be alive, but
They're not really sometimes, right?
it's gone.
They're really not.
His name is Dr. David Feifel. He is the professor emeritus of psychiatry at University of California, San Diego. So the question is, clinic-wise, and it kind of goes into a two-part question for the two of you, and then of course there's investor will and investor accreditation when you talk about investors being interested in this, which is why I've got you all three here. Is this a nationwide type thing? Do you put these in every city? Do you make it a destination point as they have some cancer treatment centers across the country, or do you make this with every area of dominant influence in the United States, in which there's 16 of them, to where you don't have to go far to get? What's the ultimate goal for you?
I think the ultimate goal, yes, is everyone having access, and everyone being able to, without too much inconvenience, being able to go and get this remarkable treatment.
Mike, you and I have worked on a ton of deals together, because everybody knows in my other life, I'm an investment banker and run a venture fund and a couple of other hedge funds. And you and I, when we first talked about this as something to take a look at, neither of us were, other than, looking at this company as a publicly traded company that had a long way to go, got emotionally involved in this thing. And suddenly we see this political will with investors that you talk to as you represent billions of dollars of family office money. What's been the tipping point when you're talking to people, and for you specifically, when we're talking about Hope Therapeutics, which I'll let Jonathan explain in just 1 second, but talk about that part of it.
Yeah, I think what we've started to see is that from a business standpoint, obviously, unfortunately, there's a very large market. And the ketamine clinics, I think, what we're trying to do with Hope Therapeutics is to really build out a viable place that's medically backed for people to go who are struggling suicidal ideations or feelings of
And it doesn't exist now.
It doesn't exist.
And there's not to mention there's not
too many clinics are confused with med spas that do ketamine on Monday and vitamin B on Tuesday. And
that's a typical week for Mike, except for the ketamine.
Well,
full massage on Wednesday?
It's donuts on Monday.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
But I mean, the point is, if you take this nationwide under the banner of Hope Therapeutics, as we've talked about before, talk about what that looks like.
So, our objective is to think of DaVita. If you're a patient who needs dialysis, you know that you can walk into any DaVita clinic anywhere in the United States and get reliable care according to protocols that everybody understands with a quality that everybody understands. And right now, ketamine clinics are the Wild West. You've got some highly credible clinics that are led by psychiatrists, where not only are they treating people with the drug, but they've got a whole therapeutic environment built around it so that they know that these people who have real risk of self-harm are safe. And then you've got a bunch of people who heard about it, who are hanging out a sign, who may not have any real training in psychiatry at all, who are just slinging ketamine without FDA approval, without being under any kind of safety umbrella, and people are reading about some unfortunate happenings as a result. So the objective is to build a national brand that people can rely on, that the FDA can trust, that the regulators can trust, that the insurers can trust.
And the investors can trust as well, correct?
Yeah, because right now the alternative for people with suicidal depression is electroshock therapy.
Dr. Feifel, what's the connection point here? What's the last mile solution to get us there, in your opinion?
I think Jonathan pointed out a lot of the needs. That is to bring something that right now is very unregulated, non-standardized, to weed out some of the bad players, to get the quality up a little bit more standardized, and so that anyone can go to a place and know that this is going to be done the right way. Right now, that's not the case.
Dr. David Feifel, you guys all come back together. We need a whole show like this. Forget him. In fact, I wouldn't even be here. Let's have you host the show. In fact, let's do that Monday. Next Monday.
That's right. I don't have to eat that week. No worries.
All right, coming up, Shep Hyken, our Chief Customer Satisfaction Officer, is going to talk about first world problems in a...
And we continue on the Big Biz Show. Thanks a lot, everybody, for being along for the ride so far today. Appreciate you. Wherever you're listening, wherever you're watching. Mike Costa right here. Yeah, you're welcome, America. Mary Burt Godwin, Greg Todoroff, and the man right there, Sully. Rolling along.
I may or may have not had onion powder.
I was wondering what that was.
Oh. Did you say Funyun powder?
Funyun. Well,
You bought some last
well, it's just like, no, there's no Funyun powder. There is onion powder, but you have to have
You're
salt
right.
to it.
You're right.
It's like garlic salt. You have onion salt.
Okay.
Fantastic. I challenge you to go and take a steak, a filet, put simply garlic salt and pepper on it. A pan hot as the sun, 3 minutes.
Sear it in.
Flip it down, put it in the broiler, 3
Yep.
minutes. Put a piece of foil on for 3 minutes. Best thing you got. Garlic salt. No magic, this voodoo crap. Although Funyun powder.
I was going to say, you might be onto something right there.
There you go. Hey, listen, Brian Kobel's with us, or Kobel. See, Greg, you screwed around. His name's Brian Kobel, but Greg calls him Kobel because Brian's saying it wrong.
He's not a champagne.
Is it?
Brian, it's Korbel, knucklehead. Brian Kobel is the CEO of TC Biopharm Holdings, stock symbol TCBP. Brian, I can't help you, man. Listen, I've tried, but Greg has now screwed me up. What's up, brother? Great to see you in Glasgow, Scotland.
If you don't think Funyun powder is magic voodoo powder, you and I might be disagreeing.
No, I do think it is. Listen.
It is. It is. It's absolutely.
You can grind
it's
the
incredible.
Funyun.
It's like Jim Gaffigan says, bibbity bobbity bacon.
Yes.
Right? If you had bacon and Funyun powder on top of a freaking fillet, are you kidding me? Are you getting misty? Are you tearing up?
You guys continue, please.
Mike's tearing up. Brian, listen, I'm going to let you take this away in this segment because you have so many good things going that I don't even want to lead you on the question. Just give us an update from last time we talked because TC Biopharm, there's multiple diseases you guys are dealing with here, but you've had a lot of good stuff on the business side also. Talk about it.
Yeah, we took an M&A approach that we talked about last time around are there assets we can pick up? And what I think we've seen is the industry is really reacting to that. And we've signed 2 non-binding LOIs to date. One of them for some CAR NK assets, which expand the portfolio. We believe natural killer cells and gamma delta cells play really, really well together, and that's sort of proven scientifically. And then we recently announced a non-binding LOI for another company that expands our CAR expertise in not just alpha betas, but gamma delta cells. So now we're in solid tumors, we're in blood cancer, we're in autoimmune. It's really exploding. And I'm frankly surprised, even having set it up.
Well, keep in mind though, Brian. Remember last year for biotech and biopharma was horrible. 2023, actually part of 2023 was horrible. In terms of even at the JP Morgan Chase conference this year for biopharma, they basically said good times are here coming, but don't expect to raise any money for the first quarter of 2024, which is exactly what happened. Is most of these, and the problem is when you invest in a biopharma firm, it's a venture capital deal. A venture capital deal is typically a 7 years exit. Sometimes a private equity will come in the midway, which is sort of a venture capital play, and give a partial exit. But biopharma is a long soak, as they say. And I'll tell you what, you said screw that. you raise money, you're able to do. Mike, do you know what M&A is, by the way?
No, I don't.
I thought you'd at least try.
I know what M&Ms are, but I don't.
Mergers and acquisitions.
Oh, well, okay.
So let me tell you what the M&A strategy is. Acquisition strategy is, like, for example, when Intel or Google buys a company that they either do business with or a competitor to put them out of business.
Yep.
But they buy them, and then those assets go into the company. So the idea is high speed, low drag. In other words, get a lot of assets, no debt. Brian is probably oversimplifying that, but something that it's a value add to the company.
Really accurate. I have a friend, his uncle made a bunch of money doing this, and it's kind of the way he did it is sort of how I would compare what we're doing. He used to buy huge swaths of land, and they would clear the trees, build it out into very nice acred plots, and then we'd call Toll Brothers and say, hey, Toll Brothers, come buy our land.
Toll Brothers is a
and
builder.
drop your houses on top.
So
all we're doing is setting up for Toll Brothers, meaning large pharma. We're buying all these assets, we'll advance them along, and in 24, 36 months, we're going to have tons of clinical data and multiple cell therapies. Immuno-oncology will come back around, immune therapy will come back around, and we're prime positioned to be acquired.
So the Toll Brothers, stock symbol TOL, Toll Brothers was a publicly traded company, is a publicly traded company as a builder. And they built master plan communities in the 90s and just killed it. If you owned Toll back then, it was like owning Apple.
Oh.
No, it was killer. And they did it with an acquisition strategy, which was just insane, to where you're not really, I mean, you're making more money on your profit and loss statement and on your books just by picking up somebody else. So suddenly now your asset base doubles. And what's the first thing that happens when you get acquired? CEO like Brian walks in, and he says hi to every new customer they just acquired, number one. Number two, trims the fat. That's why you always see in an acquisition some people getting out of there. And number three, execute the business plan. And that's how you're doing it. Hey, talk about the rest of the year in terms of drugs and therapies, in terms of FDA and where we're at in terms of timing, because everything seems to be thumbs up, working in the right direction there.
Yeah, forgetting the assets we're acquiring, the core asset TCB008 is going gangbusters. So post the MHRA approving and accepting our amendment, we've restarted the trial. We expect to dose the first patient in the second cohort, so the subsequent 14 patients, probably before the end of May, which means we're on track to announce data in that trial in Q4 of this year at the latest. We're expecting QMUL, proof of concept in the antifungal in Q3, if not, right before Q3, which means we'd be on track for an antifungal trial and to be accepted Q4 and to launch Q1 2025. So, TCB008 is just out there killing it. And, we're in a great place with the core assets. And then on top of that, all these other assets that are coming on board for us, it's kind of crazy to me. Like I look at sort of the profile of the company today from a market cap perspective, and it's pretty clear investors are missing the message, right? Which is you're talking about, this is the beginning of the next Regeneron, the next PureTech, the next Ligand.
Well, but I would argue,
you're seeing your front row seat.
I would argue though, and we don't talk about share price and such on this program, but I will tell you, your share price has done well this year.
Oh, it has.
And I'll tell you,
but
as far as people missing the message, you have to remember though, they're coming off of that big nut-filled you-know-what that was sitting in the front yard called Biopharm last year. And now we've cleaned it up and we're fine. Brian, thank you, brother. I appreciate it. Brian Kobel.
Thanks, guys.
Kobel,
appreciate it.
Brian calls it, but what does he know? That does it for us. Big Biz Show. We'll see you tomorrow.